What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If this is your first time joining us here, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football. We talk football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you see an edge for Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel now that both of them have got starts for the Cleveland Browns in this preseason? This is really the battle for the QB3 spot on the depth chart entering week one is what we think, right? We believe that Joe Flacco is the presumptive starter for week one. He has not played a single down, hadn't even put on shoulder pads in a jersey in these preseason games to kind of underscore that he is going to be the guy. Kenny Pickett, we still haven't seen. He's been hurt. They signed Tyler Huntley, still goes by Snoop, a couple weeks ago, just leading up to Shedeur's first start. And Dillon Gabriel was left out of that because he was dealing with a hamstring injury. So we got injury. So we got to see a lot more of Shedeur Sanders against the Carolina Panthers than we did against, Dillon Gabriel and the Philadelphia Eagles today, as that game is just ending with pretty outstanding performance by Dillon Gabriel. And frankly, a great performance by the defense for the Cleveland Browns, who were able to get not just turnovers, but pick six going the other way. Now, we're going to get to Dillon Gabriel's pick six here in a bit, but I think one of the things that is important to point out here is these dudes, more or less, look the same on the football field, which is kind of what you want if you're a Browns fan. I think if you are a Browns fan, you want to see the cream rise to the top. You think you got two good rookie quarterbacks, and both of those guys showed that in week one, week two. Week three, the Browns are cautiously optimistic that they're going to get Shedeur Sanders back and perhaps get another glimpse at him. But this also looks like a football team might be the only one in the NFL of its 32 teams that carry four quarterbacks on its 53-man roster. That must be how good you feel about Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, to say nothing of how you feel about Kenny Pickett and or Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, who's in his 40s, and while he has been playing great football the last year or so, there's no guarantee that his 40-year-old body is going to hold up. Just ask Aaron Rodgers how that goes. Right? Also, take a look at Kenny Pickett, who is already in year four, having played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, having played for the Philadelphia Eagles, now the Cleveland Browns. I haven't seen the Kenny Pickett that was drafted in the first round by the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way, since he left Pitt, where he was throwing all those great passes to Jordan Addison, and they had an outstanding year there. Another Pitt Panther had a great day today was Donovan McMillan. Those of y'all that played EA Sports College Football 25, particularly in the competitive PvP modes, you know that Donovan McMillan was everywhere, and he deserves his reputation as one of the better safeties that was available as a free agent this year, and they probably got themselves a good one. Along with Grant Delpit, along with Denzel Ward, along with Myles Garrett, Carson Schlesinger, you think you're going to be pretty good on defense, and you got to be. They only had 12 takeaways at Cleveland last year. But what I saw from Dillon Gabriel today was what I have seen from Dillon Gabriel for the past 3 years, honestly. It's a dude that can play, right? Or I should say 2 years, because he's hurt in that 2022 season. But 2023, he operated Oklahoma's offense with efficiency. He was quick with the ball. His awareness was off the charts, and he made plays when he needed to make them. Same thing happened in Oregon, where he was the Big Ten's Offensive Player of the Year, even though I can make the argument it wasn't his best year as a quarterback, although he was still one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. The knock on him are the same. He's short. Okay, so what? Why did he get a seventh-round draft grade? In part because of that, but also because of his age. And I think that might be a differentiating factor for you if you are looking toward the future of the Cleveland Browns. Do you want a guy that's basically the same age as Kenny Pickett as a rookie? Well, they drafted him in the third round, so Andrew Berry thinks there's something worth having there. And he has really comported himself well, not unlike Shedeur Sanders. Both those guys have gone through this process with absolute class. And you can see they both got command of Kevin Stefanski's offense. The first drive was kind of brilliant. Save that sack that he took. We're talking about throws over the middle, 3rd and 10. They get the first down. He ran away from pressure, got down, lived to fight another day, hit another intermediate route to convert 3rd and 10, converted 3rd and 2 check down. That was the opening drive, and that ended in a score. That was great. The second drive, we're talking about an incomplete pass, and then 10-yard completion over the middle, 5 yards completion out route to the left, 12-yard completion out to the right, 9-yard completion in the middle, and then we get the pick six. The pick six, I think, is Dillon Gabriel's fault. I was watching that play unfold, and I could see that both the tight end and the wide receiver had made some high school football mistakes where they did not have any depth on each other. The wide receiver is supposed to take the corner, and he took the drag. And then you got the tight end who got pushed further upfield, and there was no expansion there. And what you're supposed to do if you're the quarterback is throw that football in the stands, or do the Tom Brady, throw it at somebody's feet. It's dead. It's a dead play. And then you get to keep the ball, and you go back to the offense. You get to say, hey, you made a great play there. Was it an incompletion? Sure. Would we want that play back? Yes. But instead, he threw this ball, forced it in there, and Andrew Mukuba comes up with the pick and runs it back 75 yards for the touchdown. This is the part where I'm also going to say that Philadelphia second unit was on the field, right? And that second unit is ridiculous. I am floored at how the NFL continues to let Philadelphia continue to get away with this, man. They draft from Georgia, they draft from Clemson, they draft from Texas. And then, oh yeah, Cooper DeJean is still there, so they'll go get him. Keely Ringo's there. Smile Munden's there. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I mean, it is an embarrassment of riches if you're a college football fan watching all of these dudes play on the same defense on the second team. And I'm going, man, that's tough. Like, if the NFL actually watched our sport like we watched our sport, they would never let Philadelphia get away with this. Instead, I got to deal with Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean on the same team again. Break that unit up. You know what I mean? Like, that shouldn't happen. I got such a kick out of that. I'm like, wait, Keely's out there? For real? Oh my goodness. What else don't I know that they have? And that defense showed up in a real way. And that's probably, if you're in the Dillon Gabriel camp, something you could use to bolster your argument. My man finishes the day going 13 of 18 for 143, which is a better passing line than Shedeur, who went 14 of 23 for 138 over 3 quarters. Remember, Dillon Gabriel just got the half. But Shedeur Sanders also threw 2 TDs and 0 interceptions, while Dillon Gabriel threw an interception and had a fumble. We're going to put that fumble that we saw from Pierre Strong on him. It was not a clean handoff. Ball goes on the ground, and oh yeah, there's Andrew Mukuba there to pick that ball right up and give it back to Philadelphia. Dorian Thompson-Robinson made a really strange play, the kind of play I don't think I expect him to make, where he's trying to force something. Perhaps he's in a battle with Kyle McCord for that third spot, but I really think that's DTR's job to lose. But Kyle McCord is still pretty damn good, and you give him an offense where he can run around making plays. Perhaps you're in there, run around making plays, where he can scan the football field and make a play, because Kyle McCord is not going to run any more than C.J. Stroud is going to run. But he's a good quarterback, right? And I think that defense needed to feel some confidence playing against that Philadelphia team, even if it's just the 2s and the 3s that you're playing. That's the reigning Super Bowl champs, right? Jalen Hurts might not even be in the building. He is, absolutely, because they played in Philadelphia. But it was also a game that Kevin Stefanski really wanted, because another Philadelphia guy wanted to win in Philadelphia. One of the things that I found interesting is the 10 drives that Shedeur got against the defense that had starters on the field. Didn't always look good, but when they did, he made great plays. When they were rolling out, he looked good. He had this thing going with Caden Davis, same thing that Dillon Gabriel had going with James Thrash, right? I thought that was working. But we're also talking about a quarterback in Dillon Gabriel who has more FBS starts than anybody else in history at quarterback. 63. Dillon Gabriel played 63 games as a starting quarterback in college football. Unheard of number, not supposed to actually happen. But because of the COVID year, and being able to take that other year, he gets to continue to play football, which means he's got an enormous amount of experience, which is really going to help you if you are a rookie in the NFL. You've seen more football. This is actually one of those things that I would talk about with Quincy Avery before my man absolutely went intergalactic. He would do this show, and we would talk about quarterback play. And one of the indicators that he had for success in the NFL was how many games did you play as a starting quarterback? If you played a bunch of games, you had a much higher floor, and you had a better chance of succeeding in the NFL. If you didn't play a bunch of games, There are just things that you have not seen enough. And I liken this to chess chunking or anybody with any experience in their job. One of the reasons that we become more valuable to our employers and future employers is because we know things about doing our jobs that you could only know from doing it over and over and over again. There are just not that many mistakes that are going to get made because you've been exposed to so many different situations and you know exactly how to maneuver in a tight spot where somebody who's brand new is probably going to make a mistake here. Or you just know something about the machine that you're operating that others don't. My favorite example of this is actually a myth, right? It's a myth about a World War II submarine engineer from the United States who had gone into retirement, and they needed to get this old submarine running to get it from one side of the ocean to the other. And nobody could figure out how to get this engine going. It'd been out of commission for some 20 years. Technology had moved on. Nobody had learned it. So they called this man. This man showed up in his cargo pants and his Hawaiian shirt. And he said, what seems to be the problem? They said, hey, it just won't start. We brought everybody in we know how to bring in, and they can't fix it. And he says, hey, anybody got like a big wrench? Yeah, that'll work. Give him this big old wrench. And he takes that wrench, he starts beating the hell out of that engine. Just bang, 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 bang. Turn right over. He'd been around it long enough. He understood how to coax it like you do a mule, right? With a 2x4 between the eyes. I love that story because it is about experience and its value, right? That is what Dillon Gabriel has. He has tremendous experience. He's one of the most prolific quarterbacks to ever play the game, and that goes understated because he's understated. I enjoyed his interview during the game where he was asked how he's dealing with the pressure and the atmosphere around a battle for QB3 with Shedeur Sanders. He said, look, there's some people that are in it for entertainment. There's some people that are in it for competition. I'm a competitor. I'm going to do my job. I don't think that was jab at anybody. I think he gets to say what many athletes and coaches get to say. They watch a show like this one and they ask what it is that you do. Well, my job is actually kind of difficult. I would invite you to try it. But to say that someone doesn't need to show up to work or that you're overblowing it because it's entertainment, nah, dog. What is entertainment is Shedeur Sanders had 71,000 people show up at an away game to see him play. And it was the most watched television show on 8 days ago, Friday night, with 2.2 million people watching a preseason game for a quarterback that is probably going to, at best, start at QB3. I tend to believe that if we're talking about that guy and there is no gap between Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, your QB3, your QB4, you got to keep that guy on the roster. Do you need to make him QB3? No, because I don't think anybody really cares once you get past QB1, except to know who the backup is going to be. But if you are using one of these guys like Shedeur or Dillon Gabriel as a trade chip, that might happen, but I don't see it. I think that they will all get an opportunity to play because I don't know that Joe Flacco is going to be able to keep this up for very long. I'm not sure that Kenny Pickett is the guy. And the Browns aren't expected to do very well. The over-under for them set by our friends at Bet Online is 5.5 wins. And then we play 17-game season, right? At that point, you might have to figure out who it is that you want to lead you into the future. But Andrew Berry be out here doing stuff, and by doing stuff, I mean, you trade away the number 2 overall pick and you get a haul back, but you let Travis Hunter get to Jacksonville Jaguars. And then you put yourself in a bind by drafting Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round, even though Shedeur Sanders is still there. And then you traded up in the 5th round to go get Shedeur Sanders. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to us. If you wanted him, go get him. Now, getting him at a discount is still getting him at a discount. I get that. But we have this competition because Andrew Berry wanted it. I'm not even sure Kevin Stefanski wanted it. If you ask Jimmy Haslam, he says, look, that's Andrew Berry's domain. He tells us what personnel we ultimately want to get. And Kevin Stefanski tries to put together the best team he can with that personnel. I don't know how having both of these guys is going to help you gel as a football team, but I tend to believe Andrew Berry knows something I don't, or at least I hope he does. Because now it's you're behind in the jackpot if this doesn't work out. Now, again, you got more money invested in Dillon Gabriel. than you do Shedeur Sanders. And that usually is how the depth chart looks. You can actually look at most NFL depth charts and go just like that. Who makes the most money at this position? That's your one. Who makes the second most money at this position? That's your two. And as we get deeper and deeper into the season, we'll get more answers to this. I don't believe that Dillon Gabriel outperformed Shedeur Sanders against the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't care that you do want to say, hey, the Philadelphia Eagle defense was a little bit more difficult than the Carolina Panthers defense. It's preseason. I also don't think that Shedeur Sanders was that much better than Dillon Gabriel was today. I want to continue to see them play. I just don't know how this is going to play out because at the end of the day, the NFL is a numbers game. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but the Browns are also kind of loaded at tight end. They got Harold Fannin, who, if Tyler Warren isn't Tyler Warren, perhaps is the best tight end in the country last year, or wins that award, I should say. They've also got Sal Cannella, who's maybe going to make their practice squad, maybe. Sal Cannella, who was, for me, the best tight end in the UFL last year and the year before that. Okay? Sure hands, gets open, understands blocking schemes. He might not make this team because it's a numbers game. Once you're getting into these spots and guys are fighting for plays, fighting for playing time, trying to get good film so that when they do get cut, somebody else wants to pick them up for their practice squad or even for their 53-man roster. That's where we're at now. I don't necessarily want to continue to harp on this fact, but it's going to be difficult for Shedeur Sanders to move up this depth chart if Dillon Gabriel and he continue to play the same. Okay? For those of us that believe that Shedeur Sanders ought to be the Browns' future, myself included, this is going to be difficult to watch, but also for the neutrals out there, it's like, hey, I don't really care, right? I want the best quarterback. But when I ask around, and by ask around, I mean, I talk to people that casually know about football, right? They know who Patrick Mahomes is. They know who Travis Kelce is. They know who his girlfriend is. They know who Shedeur Sanders is. They know who Deion Sanders is. Are they going to be able to tell you who made an all-pro team last year? No. They probably can't even tell you who the MVP was last year. But they know Shedeur Sanders' name and they root for him. The only thing that they hate is that he plays for the Cleveland Browns because they know that the Cleveland Browns is where quarterbacks go to die, and the Browns have been sorry forever. I've never seen a good Browns football team. Not one time. Neither have you, for that matter. So if you want interest in this thing, you're going to put Shedeur Sanders behind center. If you want to win, that's something else entirely, right? You can't do it with Baker Mayfield. You can't do it with Robert Griffin III. Can't do it with Johnny Manziel. Can't do it with Deshaun Watson, who's still getting paid but ain't going to play. It's just difficult. It's hard, man. And I think for those that pick out a player, this is going to test us. Watching that guy in wearing 12, not playing football, it's going to be really difficult for us to see. But I think there is a silver lining that later on this year, we'll probably get to see him play. The question I have is, will we be paying that much attention by the time we get to see a Shedeur Sanders or even a Dillon Gabriel start an NFL game in earnest in the regular season? Take a short break. We come back. The Big Ten has hatched a plan to get maybe 28 teams into the college football playoff. I can hear your boos. Let's talk about why you are booing and what this could mean for college football in the very early stages of this discussion when we get back. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We're fast approaching 138,000 subscribers to the show. We're doing more live shows. We'll be following big games Monday night, Thursday night, big college football playoff rankings Tuesday nights, Saturday nights, of course, Friday nights for some games. We're going to be doing a lot of really fun stuff here. And the reason we can do that is because you're subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't, consider doing that. And if you are checking in for the first time and you're seeing a new scheme and a new layout, nice to have you back. We've been doing this for about 3 months. And we're going to continue to do this all the way through football season. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be the first season we've had with a 12-team playoff with straight seeding, so that if Greg Sankey has an SEC team that's left out, he'll know it's because they're sorry, not because the College Football Playoff Selection Committee gets to put its thumb on the scale to get SMU, Southern Methodist, in over Alabama, because that's what everybody wants. I've always said this, and I will continue to say this. People want to see the most popular brands play in the biggest games. That's why the Yankees and Dodgers play in the World Series. Awesome. Loved it. Because it got neutrals, the casuals, everybody in was on it because they know who the Yankees are. They know who the Dodgers are. They know who Aaron Judge is. They know who Shohei Ohtani is, right? When Ohio State and Notre Dame played, money. Great. You know who Notre Dame is. You know who Ohio State is. You would not want to show up to watch Boise State and Southern Methodist play for the national championship. It's just not what you're going to want to do. Even if those are the two best teams, because they don't have 150 plus years of history behind them either. They're new money to this sport. But as we are continuing to try to find ways to extend the playoff, let's talk about why. Okay. We're going to extend the playoff, it looks like, right? Does it go to 16 teams? Does it go to 24 teams? Does it go to 28 teams? All conversations are being had because of the format for which those teams would be selected cannot be agreed upon right now. But it is because they need to grow the money pie faster than they've ever needed to grow it now, because you're paying out revenue share that you never had to. You got name, image, and likeness coming in like you never had before. And you've had unprecedented movement among the players, among the labor. And it's really starting to piss people off, but it's also really starting to pinch athletic departments in their pocketbooks. We've had a wave of athletic directors decide, I don't want to do this job no more. I don't want it. It's not the job that I signed up to do. It's not the job that I'm prepared to do. I'm going to take my $800,000 a year job and I'm going to go back to doing something else, right? I've got enough money to put away for a long time to be okay. That's where they're at. It's difficult because you're not just managing the athletic department anymore. You're managing a front office for your football team. You're managing general managers for your women's basketball teams. You're trying to take care of your Olympic sports while waiting on Title IX lawyers to sue you over this revenue share deal because the football team is going to make more money than everybody else. You also still got to pay for scholarships, right? So they get the education and they get paid to do it. Now, I don't think this is any different than a National Merit Scholar getting a large refund, but some people do, and they don't like it. I also think that the best way to grow the pie is to grow the inventory, play even more football. We've already had people that claim that there are too many teams in a playoff already. There aren't that many good teams to win a national championship. Who cares? If you are the person, and I've seen some of my colleagues, some of my national colleagues say this, why are we playing more games? Why do we have more teams in this thing? There aren't that many good teams. Do you hate football? I'm asking this dead ass honestly. Do you hate football? Do you not like watching football being played? I'll watch football being played no matter who it is. I don't care. I watch the Tuesday night game after the College Football Playoff Selection Show, even when it's Eastern Michigan and Akron. I don't give a damn. I love football. That's why I'm the national college football analyst at Fox Sports, because I watch it all, because I'll rank all 136 teams, because I give a damn. So if you are the kind of person that says, I hate the idea of more football being played, especially in a meaningful manner, I think you need to get another job. I think you need to get up out of here. Just like the coaches who want to moan and complain because now they have to manage millionaires that they never had to manage before. Get out of here. You know, there are those of us in our late 30s or early 30s that have been dying to do the job that we are doing. The last thing we're going to do is get up and leave because you changed the rules. I don't care. Add more teams. So the Big Ten is in the very early stages of basically a test balloon has gone up because they gave this out to us, right, to know. They want perhaps a 2018 model, right, where the Big Ten and the SEC would each get 7 auto bids, while the ACC and Big 12 would each receive 5. There would be 2 auto bids for the non-Power 4 schools and 2 at-large teams, okay? 2018 format would also take advantage of what we know is the one thing that makes college football better than anything else, and what we know is the one thing that worked from the 12-team playoff. More home games. 20 playoff games would be on campus. 20. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. That is what we do well. We give a home field advantage like nobody's business, dude. The crowd pops from our sport are unlike anything else. I would put college football's biggest games up against the biggest games in European soccer. I think we'd outperform them. I think the decibel levels get louder. I think we care more. And I think we care more because we have more invested in those programs than they do in their clubs. Why? That's my diploma over there, dog. That's my education over there. That's my family's legacy. My family went to school there. I have legacies that are going to go there. You know, I say this often about our sport. It's the name on the front is the one that's loaned to players because it's my name. If you wear Oklahoma across your chest, that's my name. It's clean when I give it to you. I want it clean when you give it back. And these bloodlines, they run so deep. People that root for Michigan. People that root for Ohio State. There's no in between there. Favorite story to tell about that is Chris Spielman, who is all world coming out of high school in Ohio. He was down to Ohio State and Michigan. And his dad, who's a rabid Ohio State fan, let him go take a visit to Michigan. He came back, and the man had the audacity to tell his daddy, hey, Dad, I think I want to go to Michigan. And his daddy had enough. Nope, I've had enough. You are going to Ohio State, you traitor. That's what we do well, man. That's who we are. We're going to treat our teams like family, and that's why we show up, and it's great. But insofar as what the format is going to look like, I can already tell you the Big 12 and the ACC are going to flip a table when you tell them that the Big 10 and the SEC is going to get 2 more teams in than they do. But again, this is about having more teams in the playoff than everybody else because you get more bites at the apple, more opportunities to earn the bigger payout. And remember, ESPN paid $7.6 billion for the rights to the college football playoff a couple years ago. They don't care what your format looks like because they're not going to change the number. But if you want to give them more inventory, they'll take it. So will, for that matter, HBO, who's going to have Big 12 games this year on TNT and True TV. You're seeing more players want to enter the space because as much as people want to say that college football is going down the tubes, the revenue doesn't say that. It just means that you got to make more of it, and you can. If you expand this to 24 or 28, I think 28 is a lot. 24 is a lot too. But I've been a proponent of a 16-team playoff for years because I think it should be determined by the conference championships. So you get your 9 conference champions, they get automatic bids, and then you have 7 at-large bids, right? That's not what they wanted to do. In this 28-team format, I don't think that this is going to work either because they're really stepping on a format that has worked for years. Do you realize that the FCS has been playing a 24-team playoff since 2013? And before that, it was 20, and before that, it was 16? They've always had a bunch of teams enter their playoff brackets, and they have a really great way of determining who gets a bye. First top 8 seeds, they get a bye. They don't play the first weekend. And then we start off and run it. I don't understand why the 24-team playoff that the FCS uses isn't good enough for FBS, except to say, you watch this show, you are a smart college football person, period. I'll go to war for you on that because we don't do stupid college football conversation over here. But there are those that only watch television. And because they only watch television, they have no idea that the FCS has been doing a 24-team playoff for a decade plus. And before that, had been doing a 16-team playoff for 2 decades plus and then some. It works. The cream always rises to the top. Back to this argument about there aren't that many good teams to play for a national championship. Yeah, we know. North Dakota State went on a friggin' tear, dog. The Big Sky Conference is the SEC over there. Nobody expects for Drake to come out of the Pioneer League, which does not have scholarships, and win a national championship. So when they get to play in the FCS playoff, it's a treat. Nobody expects them to win. San Diego used to make the playoff every year. This is back when Jim Harbaugh was still head coach. They never won. Nobody expects them to win. So since when are we having a playoff simply to find out who the best champion is? For some of us, making the playoffs is a big deal. Having the opportunity to play for the belt, that's the most important part. That is the most important part. That is the reason I've stopped on both feet for so long. I hate a mythical national champion. I hate it. I hate voting on who the national champ is going to be. It's ridiculous. We have a scoreboard for this. Stop this nonsense. Garbage. Garbage. Play for the national championship. Well, we're going to pick the two teams to play. That's a crappy format too. You know how I know? Because Texas 6A high school football works. Oklahoma high school football works. Everybody in high school football works. They got a freaking tournament in men's basketball, freaking tournament in softball, baseball, every other major sport. Because you want to know that the tournament was fair to you. You need to know that. You need to have the same opportunity to get your butt kicked by Bama as everybody else. And if the Magic should find you and you get to go on a tear, we remember you forever. We do. If I say Ali Farokhmanesh, you know exactly who the hell I'm talking about. And Northern Iowa didn't win a damn thing. They won a few games in the tournament. Nobody expected them to win a national championship. You expect Kansas and Duke to be there, Kentucky to be there at the end, Tennessee. Hell, from time to time, Oklahoma. But this part about let's not play more games because we don't think there are enough teams that are that good. I say this to my colleagues. You tell a kid going through two-a-days right now. You tell a dude that's out here in the soupy humidity, he ain't good enough to play for a national championship. You do that. You go right ahead. You see what kind of answer you get. Because it flies in the face of everything we teach. We teach blood, sweat, and tears. We teach effort. We teach nothing beats a trial but a failure. Give people the opportunity to fail. Then you get the opportunity to not waste that failure. You get an opportunity to learn from that defeat, to get your behind off the mat, pick up your hands, and go back into the fight. I hate the idea of us limiting the potential of anybody. But you would only want to do that if you know you can't play. Something to think about. Something to think about. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Adapt and Respond. If you like the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and tell me, do you like the live shows? Do you want to keep the live shows? I know that they're about half an hour because we don't really do the marathon 3-hour show. But if they get a little bit longer, would you like those? Let me know. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Deuces.